Inflation hurting your family? That's why we need abortions, Stacy Abrams says. Man, I swear you can't make this up. But the beat goes on, bump, bump, bump. I know the Stacy Abrams supporters must be going nuts right now. I mean, kicking over tables, breaking windows, punching holes in the wall. Because at this point, one would have to ask if she's trying to throw her own election. Because who goes and says the dumb stuff that she just said on live television?
You're running for governor of Georgia. I would assume, maybe incorrectly, but while abortion is an issue, it nowhere reaches the level of interest of voters in terms of the cost of gas, food, bread, milk, things like that. What can a governor, what could you do as governor to alleviate the concerns of Georgia voters about those livability, daily, hourly issues that they're confronted with?
But let's be clear. Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child. And so it's important for us to have both and conversations. We don't have the luxury of reducing it or separating them out, but we also have to talk about what a governor can do. A governor can address housing prices. A governor can address the cost of education. A governor can put money into the pockets of everyday hardworking Georgians instead of giving tax cuts to the wealthy. That's what I talk about on the trail, and that's what's resonating. But let's not pretend that women, half the population, especially those of childbearing age, they understand that having a child is absolutely an economic issue. It is only politicians who see it as simply another cultural conversation. It is a real biological and economic imperative conversation that women need to have.
So after a moronic failed attempt to sway black men to vote for her by blaming them for not voting for her, she now goes on to talk about abortion is the reason why we have inflation. You not aborting your babies is the reason we have inflation. Let that sink in. Not aborting your baby is the number one issue when it comes to inflation. Let that sink in.
What can a governor, what could you do as governor to alleviate the concerns of Georgia voters about those livability, daily, hourly issues that they're confronted with?
Now, the fact that the man asked this woman, what can you do as governor to soothe the people's worry over inflation? And her response was basically, I'll tell you what you could do. You can go and get an abortion. That is hilarious to me. Well, you're worrying about gas prices because you ain't aborting your babies. You're worrying about how much food costs because you ain't aborting your babies. This is a issue because, you know, if you would just abort your babies, you would have more money and you wouldn't have to worry about how much these things cost. Just abort your babies. We can't separate the fact that, you know, having these babies and having no money, they go together, baby. They go together. Just go ahead and abort your babies. What are you waiting for? We got to have abortion. And as governor, I can speak to a lot of things. I can speak to housing. I can speak to helping people get resources. But what I'm going to speak to is y'all getting them abortions. Because if you get them abortions, baby, you're going to have more money. And more money makes you act more funny. Go ahead and get them abortions, baby.
Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child.
Is somebody going to tell Miss Abrams that not all women have unwanted pregnancies? Or are we just going to let that be? All right.
Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child.
Question: what group is mostly affected by the pandemic and inflation? So what group do you think that she's speaking to here? Who do you really think that she's telling that you're having babies, so that's why you're broke? Who do you think that's going to? You need abortions so you can have more money. Who do you think that that's going to? Think about that. Think about that for a hot second.
Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs.
I keep playing this and playing this so that it can hammer the point in. This is a mindset of the Democratic Party. She's speaking for the Democratic Party. Just keep that in mind, because that's who she represents. She is a Democratic shield. So what she's saying is what the Democratic Party is telling us, which is, stop talking about reparations, go get your abortions. Stop looking for any type of resources, just go and get those abortions. Abortion is the key issue of all times. Right now, tomorrow, and forever. If you want to stop inflation, you got to have abortions. Abortions, abortions. I'm telling you, you can't make this up. And for everyone who may say, well, she's never mentioned the black community, the white birth rate has dropped and continues to drop rapidly. So, who do you think she's talking to? Who is the Democrats' #1 voting base?
Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs.